Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your fearless host, Angie Scott.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. So a little good news / bad news. I had a really exciting guest all lined up for this week, and some of you may know her. Her name is Kayla Jochumsen. She's married to Bassmaster elite angler Carl Jochumsen, who hails from Australia. And it just so happened that Kayla is cousins with Brandon Polinick as well. So she and Carl were traveling back from her home state of Idaho back to their new digs closer to my neck of the woods, which is the beautiful Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee. And we didn't quite think about the fact that they were going to be traveling through some pretty remote areas where cell service was going to be spotty. So instead of attempting to have a conversation with the likelihood of it cutting in and out, we decided to reschedule. So the good news is we're still going to have her on the show. You're just going to have to wait a week to hear it. So all that being said, I thought I'd take this opportunity to do a rare solo episode. It's a good time to get you caught up on all the crazy things I've got going on in my life, and also have a little bit of fun and talk about some scary boating stories. So first off, if you're a regular listener of this show, you've probably picked up on the fact, or if you follow me on Facebook, which, by the way, if you don't, if you send me a friend request on Facebook, typically my requirements are you have to have some sort of fishing picture as your profile and, a certain number of mutual friends. But usually if I see that, I'm like, oh yeah, you're cool. You're into fishing. We're good. So anyways, so like I said, if you're a regular listener of the show, you probably picked up on the fact that I started a job working for Freedom Boat Club Nashville this year, which has just been absolutely amazing. So much fun. I've been doing all the new member trainings. I also have another captain that helps me, Captain Kevin. He's awesome. I had met him in the Coast Guard Auxiliary a few years back. But between him and I, we've been taking care of making sure that all our new members get trained. I actually set up an online course that they go through that takes about 2 hours, and then we go out on the water and do a on the water orientation, get them familiar with the local lakes, anchoring, we do take them through some boating drills like the pivot turn and stuff like that. So it's been so much fun. And I also started doing sales. So, looking for new members to join the club. We're really fortunate in that we are growing. We're looking to add a couple more locations next year. So sounds like I'm going to be very, very busy with Freedom Boat Club, but it's definitely feels like it's really aligned with my passion and purpose in life. So, on the flip side of that, I am still going to continue the podcast. They very much know that I have this podcast and that it's important to me to be able to continue doing it. So, definitely committed to releasing one episode a week, which is what I've been doing for a while now since I've been working with Freedom. And probably won't be able to do a whole lot with like getting back and doing the newsletter and stuff like that since we're so busy. But definitely no worries at all about the show going away. So rest assured, I will keep putting out new episodes every week. All right, so other stuff I've got going on. So one of the cool things about being with Freedom, and one of my big goals has been to be able to go down to Florida in the winter months. I had such an amazing time on that Redfish Roadie road trip I did with Jen Ripple and Heather Hodson, and traveling all around Florida. Met so many amazing people. I went back down there like a few weeks later because I had an opportunity to go back down, and that's where I met Captain Debbie Hansen and Captain Stacy Horak and Jacinda Rose, who's an awesome member of our Woman Angler and Adventurer Facebook group. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to be able to go back down there at least for a couple months out of the winter, since that's kind of our off season here in Nashville for Freedom Boat Club. I'll still be able to do membership sales remotely while I'm in Florida. So we're looking to get a travel trailer and just go down there. And so some few pieces still need to fall into place, but we're working really hard on making sure that happens. So that should give me opportunity to meet some other really amazing, awesome woman angler and adventurers while I'm down there. So I'm really looking forward to that and what I think it's going to bring to the show. So that's kind of something that's in the works right now. The other big thing is I went ahead, we've done a few episodes about the Lady Bass Anglers Association, which is the Women's Pro Tour. They're in their 10th season right now this year. So next year will be their 11th season. Of course, this year's been a little crazy with everything going on. And we were supposed to have a tournament in September and in Louisiana, and it got canceled due to the hurricane. So we've had cancellations due to COVID and now the hurricane. But I went ahead and took the plunge and joined the tour. It really kind of it attracted me to it is the fact that, one, it's women, and I kind of already know. I've met a bunch of them just through the podcast, and I can tell it's such an amazing group. I can't wait to meet them in person and be more of them in person and be a part of it. But also, I love the fact that, like, their schedule, you know, they only do like 4 big events a year. And so that works really well for me now, especially working for Freedom Boat Club. That, you know, if I was going to do a really heavy tournament schedule, that would be pretty difficult for me to do, especially that time of year when we're going to be really, really busy. So only having like the 4 events a year was something that really attracted me to signing up, because I still love and want to be involved in fishing competitively. So this was just a really good opportunity for me to be able to do that. So those are kind of some of the main exciting things I've got going on right now. And one of the other things I wanted to do with this episode, so hopefully you're a member of our Facebook group, The Woman Angler and Adventurer. So we have the page, and that's just kind of a page that I have to be able to post when new episodes come out, and I can run ads and try to get more exposure to people discovering the show. But then we have the Facebook group, and that's just really a community for us to interact, and you guys post some amazing stuff. So last week I made a post, and the reason why this even came into my head is because we were out boating one night last week at night. I don't typically like to go out at night, but sometimes we wanted to go to this restaurant, which was all the way across the lake. By the time we got there and ordered our food, we took it to go and ate it on the boat. But as we were heading back across to the other side, it was getting pretty dark, and it was actually like really pitch dark. I don't remember ever being out on the lake when it was been that dark. But anyway, we were on our way back, and there was this boat that was kind of coming towards us, but I didn't know that at the time because their red and green nav lights were not visible for whatever reason. I don't know if he didn't have them on, or the way that his boat, the bow of his boat was riding in the water was up really high that maybe I could not see them, but all I could see was the white light. And so it being so pitch dark out, all I could tell is that we were getting closer and closer to this white light. So I'm thinking we're behind this boat, according to the light situation. So thankfully I slowed way, way, way down because I could tell we were getting closer and closer and closer. And the next thing I know, this boat comes whizzing right in front of us. And, if I had not slowed down, there's no doubt we would have collided, and that would have been a terrible, obviously, situation for everyone involved. So that was probably one of the craziest situations I've ever had out on the water. And, so anyway, me being a training captain, and we've had these recent episodes with Gail from the CETO Foundation talking about boating safety and stuff. It's just been kind of a topic that was just really top of mind. So the other day in the group, I decided to post the question, what's the scariest situation you've ever been in while out on the water? And we got a lot of responses. There's 122 comments. Of course, some of that's people conversing back and forth about these crazy situations. But I thought it would be fun on this episode to just kind of share a few of those crazy stories with you. And if you didn't get a chance to chime in, just head on over to the group. It's facebook.com/groups/The Woman Angler. You do have to request to join because it is a closed group, but I'm pretty quick at getting you added. So if you want to chime in, head on over there. But we'll keep the conversation going a little bit on that topic. So one of the stories that was shared was a lady named Kim. She said she was fishing in a cove and the wind kicked up. When I got back to the main lake, wind was 30 plus miles an hour, 2-foot plus waves. And now she's in a kayak, so she's paddling, and she was paddling as fast and hard as she could, but the wind was so strong she was actually going backwards. So she made the smart decision to not risk trying, and she just let the waves push her back into the cove, and she beached on shore and had to wait a few hours until it finally died down. And then once it died down, she just pretty much just followed close to shore. It was a longer trip, but obviously with those kind of conditions, a lot safer. So that kind of reminded me of when I was younger. My best friend growing up, Tiff, and I we had gone on a family vacation up to a resort in Minnesota. It was actually Woman Lake. I know some of you have fished there before, especially those of you who are part of the Woman Anglers of Minnesota group. But anyway, yeah, so we're on Woman Lake. We had a cabin. My dad's fishing boat. I wasn't comfortable taking it out by myself because it has an older motor on it, and I just, wasn't too confident with if it didn't start, being able to start it. But they did have rowboats that you could rent there at the resort, and so we had my parents had gone into town to do some shopping or something. And so we took the rowboat out, my friend Tiff and I, and we just went out, we threw the anchor, we were fishing, listening to music. And next thing I know, I kind of look up and I'm like, I don't think our anchor's holding. And the wind had kind of picked up and blown us off our spot quite a ways. And so at that point, we're like, we probably better head back in. So I was trying to row the boat back in and not getting anywhere. Same situation where the wind was just too strong and it was just blowing the boat further and further away. And so then she tried it and I'm like, no, let me try. And we're trying. I'm like, I had half a thought of like getting out and seeing if I could swim the boat back in, which that probably would have been a complete disaster. So anyway, thankfully, I can't remember exactly if it was either my dad got back and realized that we were out, or if a nice boater saw us struggling and came over and got us back to shore. But that situation kind of reminded me of that. Not quite as scary because it wasn't like a big storm or anything like that, but it definitely reminded me of that Woman Lake trip.
From billion-dollar ad budgets and arena naming rights to tens of thousands of retail locations, big wireless providers spend big to appear like they're your only option. How do they afford it all? That big bill you get at the end of every month. Mint Mobile had a different idea. Instead of brick and mortar overhead, Mint Mobile is online only. What does that mean for you? A whole lot of savings, because wireless plans from Mint Mobile start at just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You'll save enough that you can get a brand new rod and reel for the upcoming season. For anyone who just hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan, and you can even keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. By going online only and eliminating traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That's mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
So one of the group members named Jennifer, she shared a couple of scary stories actually, but one of them was getting caught in a really bad storm. Again, she's in a kayak. She had to lay down in her kayak to paddle to avoid being struck by lightning, and she got hailed on, pelted with ice, and some of the lightning was so close that it actually made her ears pop. So she said she cried all the way and paddled as fast as she could, just asking God to have mercy on her. She said it was absolutely terrifying. I can't imagine being in that situation in a kayak, honestly. I've been out caught in storms on my Quest pontoon, and that's been pretty scary, especially my smaller Quest only has a 25 horse motor on it. So there's really no, actually I just sold that, by the way, another thing that's happened. So I have the big Quest for now, and then we're going to look at buying another, like a angler Quest is actually what I'm thinking of, going that route. But anyway, back to the story. So there's no outrunning a storm in a 25 horse pontoon. So, I mean, we get tops. I think top speed I ever got with it in perfect conditions was like 13 miles an hour. So usually we got people on board, we're going about 8 miles an hour. And we were out in this cove hanging out, having a good time. And all of a sudden it looked like, oh, there's some weather coming in. Let's go ahead and head back in now to hopefully beat it. Well, we kept looking behind us, saw storms getting closer, closer, closer. Well, right about the time we made it to the bridge, I mean, it was so bad you couldn't even see in front of your face. So we actually took shelter under the bridge, which ended up being not so bad. I didn't even have to try to station in place the way that the water runs off the bridge. It just kind of held our boat right there. And come to find out later from some friends, we had a friend who was out on a jet ski and some other friends that were out, that it actually did hail. And so we did make a good decision hiding under the bridge there. But I can't imagine getting hailed on and lightning strikes in a kayak. That would be very scary. Drew Youngdyke, which I know Drew from the Association of Great Lake Outdoor Riders. And speaking of that, another thing I forgot to share with y'all is that the podcast is up for another award. And of course the conference got canceled this year, like everything else has. It was supposed to be up in Michigan this week, which would have been really, really cool. I was really looking forward to that trip. And actually, ironically, speaking of Drew, it was going to be in his hometown of Gaylord, Michigan. So he was really looking forward to that as well. But we're up for an award. So they're doing the awards online on their Facebook page, Wednesday evening. And I had been doing charters as well, and that's one thing I decided to give up with working with Freedom Boat Club. I just want to make sure that my time is available to them as much as possible. So I decided to stop doing charters, but I had one person, I did my last one on Friday, and I had one person call and beg me to do a charter sunset cruise Wednesday. It just so happens to be the same time as the award, so I guess I'll be out on the lake, hoping I get a good data connection on my phone so I can watch that. But we'll see what we won. Excited about that. But anyway, back to Drew's story. So Drew shared that as a kid, 11 years old, caught in Lake Superior undertow, swimming on a camping trip and couldn't swim back. My older cousin swam up to get me and pull me back in. Wow. Yeah, that would be really, really scary. And that reminded me of a situation when I was little, I think I was only 3. And so some of these details, when you're that little, you might not remember all of them. But from what I remember of this, we were up at a resort up on a lake. I don't remember which lake, but my dad used to go when we were little with a bunch of his work friends. And all I remember about that lake is that there was seaweed everywhere. But anyway, so my brother, who's 6 years older than me, and like I say, I think I was about 3 or so when this happened, but he had one of those inflatable rafts with a paddle. And for whatever reason, I decided I wanted to go out with him on that raft. And so, of course, back then, people, the life jacket thing, I don't know, we were just stupid back then. I don't know how we all survived. But anyway, I did not have a life jacket on, and I got in this raft with my brother, and as we started pulling away from the dock, I decided I didn't want to be in a raft with my brother anymore. And so I got out. Well, I just started sinking, and my mom can't swim, but thankfully one of my dad's coworkers was there and saw it and just ran into jumped in with clothes on and everything, and ended up pulling me out. And so The one thing I really remember about that is that he had concert tickets to go see the Oak Ridge Boys in his wallet that got all wet. And then it turns out years later, I end up becoming like this huge Oak Ridge Boys fan. And actually, that's why I moved to Nashville, was because I was watching the Nashville Network and their manager was on being interviewed and mentioned that he had a music business program at Oklahoma City University. And I was like, there's such thing as music business programs? Well, that's what I want to do. So I started researching it, and I found MTSU in Murfreesboro, which is south of Nashville. That's where I ended up going, got my degree. The rest is history, but just kind of funny how things circle back around, because the Oak Ridge Boys, actually, I pitched them a song, not one that I wrote, but one of my friends, Jimbo Hinson, I saw him at the Bluebird one night. He was singing the song a cappella called Colors. And I was like, wow, that's such a great song. That would be perfect for the Oak Ridge Boys. And so I recorded him singing that song on the radio. He was being interviewed on a radio station here to promote this songwriting festival. And I recorded him singing it, and I put it on a CD, and I got it to Dwayne Allen, the lead singer of the Oak Ridge Boys. And they ended up loving it so much that they made it the title track, the first single off their Colors album. And they also ended up winning a Grammy for that song. So that was really cool. I got to see them perform it live for the very first time in Branson, Missouri. They were doing a TV special for Feed the Children. And so they were doing a taping, and I got to go to that. And the first time I heard them sing it, Dwayne Allen actually had me stand up in the audience and take a bow, because he told everyone that I was the reason why they recorded that song. And that was so cool. And speaking of Branson, one other thing I forgot to mention is, so I am fishing an event with the LBAA this year. It's going to be their last event because the Cane River in Louisiana got canceled. We're fishing Lake Truman in Missouri. So I kind of got to go through Springfield. I'll be close to Branson, but I'm going to go through Springfield, I think. And either way, I'm going to make a point to make sure I go to the Bass Pro headquarters. I actually just interviewed a lady that works there. I wrote a ice fishing article for Trailer Life magazine that's going to come out in their December issue. So in conjunction with that, I decided to do a series of podcast interviews with the ladies that I featured in the article. So that will be coming out a little later. But one of the ladies I spoke with actually works for Bass Pro corporate there. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to meet her on that trip. And speaking of trips, one other thing I can't believe I forgot to mention, I have my first trip since the Bassmaster Classic back in March. I can't believe, for as much as I've been traveling, the fact that I haven't been able to travel due to the COVID and everything that's been going on. I'm so excited to finally get the opportunity to travel. I'm going on a trip with two of some of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Jen Ripple and Cheryl Smith, who I was actually rooming with at the Bassmaster Classic. So kind of ironic there. But we're going up to Ohio. We're fishing for walleye, which is my favorite fish to target. And we're going to be at this beautiful, beautiful resort in Port Clinton, Ohio called Bay's Edge Resort. I'll put a link to that in the show notes for this episode, which you can find at thewomanangler.com/149. Check that out. Really, really excited. I can't tell you how excited I am about this trip. So we'll definitely have some podcast interviews coming out, or podcast episodes, I should say, centered around this trip in Port Clinton. Cannot wait. Hope we get into some good walleye action while we're there. So, yeah, I guess we have a lot going on that, I didn't even think about at the start of this episode. So this might just be one of those meant to be things. All right, so before we sign off for this week, I'm going to share one more story. This was actually posted by my ex-sister-in-law, Amy Roostad. When she was married to my brother, we had gone up to Lake Vermilion, and that was that's probably my favorite memory was those trips going up to Lake Vermilion. So we tried to do it every year. So one particular year, her and my brother came up, and I think they had just gotten there, and it was in the afternoon. It was starting to look dark, and we decided, let's go out and fish just a little bit. Let's get a little bit of fishing in before storms roll in. So it was actually just her, my brother, and I that took the boat out, and we're just sitting there chilling, fishing, and all of a sudden I noticed my graphite rod was starting to crackle. And then I looked over at Amy, and she had long hair. Her literally hairs on her head were standing straight up in the air. It was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. So at that point, we made the wise decision to pack it up and head back in. But yeah, that was definitely a crazy sight. So, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I got one more thing to share with you all. And just remember, visit the show notes at thewomanangler.com/149. And I'm going to put info about what I'm about to tell you there as well. So if you're interested, just go check that out and you can see all the resources from this episode. But what I want to share with you is you have an opportunity, really easy opportunity to win $3,000 in audio equipment from Kicker Audio. And Gail from the Cito Foundation told me about this. So all you got to do is go to boatingsafety.com/soberskipperpledge. Like I said, I'll put a link to that in the show notes for this episode. And on that website there, you'll see instructions on how to get entered to win the $3,000 in audio equipment from Kicker. Really easy. All you got to do is sign up, take the Sober Skipper Pledge, then click on the Facebook link to share it on Facebook, and then all you got to do in that post is just use a couple of hashtags, hashtag Sober Skipper and hashtag Livin' Loud, and you'll automatically be entered to win that prize pack. So hope you take advantage of that. Hope you win, and I can't wait to share my conversation with Kayla Jacobson with you next week. Thanks, everybody.